Definition of simulacra from your Vault note. Simulacra singular. Simulacrum are copies or representations that depict things that either had no original to begin with or that no longer have an original, effectively replacing reality with symbols and signs. Popularized by Jean Baudrillard, the term describes a state where the distinction between reality and its imitation vanishes, creating a hyperreality in which simulations are more real than the actual world. That is the concise definition stored in your simulacra.md file.
Okay, thank you. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JB, aka JB Prompts. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to be covering local AI. It's going to be kind of an all-around video on Hermes in Docker, powered by Ollama running in the background. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, I try to, focus on local AI, getting away from the cloud and paid AI providers such as Claude and ChatGPT for more privatized AI use cases and things of that nature. So, yeah, let's dive right into it. And this is a local AI demonstration. So we're going to start out and we're going to turn our Wi-Fi, our internet connection off, just so you can understand the difference between something like this and using Claude or ChatGPT. This is something that you can run on your own PC. Again, if you have the sufficient VRAM requirements, if you have a GPU, you can pick the model of your choosing. So yeah, let's first start out with that actually. What window is that? Okay, yeah, we can use that. We're actually going to turn Wi-Fi back on for this. So this site is canirun.ai. There's a couple different sites that have this kind of functionality where basically scans your GPU if you have one on your computer. You don't have to put it in. It usually just automatically scans your VRAM and your GPU. And this site is great for seeing what open source models you can run locally on your computer, and you can even see the estimated space or estimated size of the model and the speed. 136 tokens per second for Llama 3.1 on our system, runs great. You even get a score on the right hand side, and you can really type in any model. Gemma, you can see all the Gemma models here, which is Google's open source model. They have yet to put the 12 billion parameter on this site, but that is also something we can run. I have not downloaded Gemma 4 12 billion parameter yet, but that is something that I will be doing very shortly. So this is actually the model that I have running in Ollama, powering our Hermes Agent. It's GPT-OSS 20 billion parameter. It's a couple months old, but it's still a great model. It has tool use. You can see the benchmarks and everything here. Now, Fable 5 did drop a couple days ago by Claude. I think it was yesterday actually, which is the most powerful model that you can kind of use from a paid provider as of this recording. But again, which is great, depending on your use case. Again, I like to, kind of focus on local AI models and local use cases, trying to cut those costs all the way down to zero. And that's another thing I'll be able to show you when I run our Hermes agent. You can see how many tokens, your input and output, and it also has how much those tokens cost you. And yeah, that'll be something we also take a look at. But yeah, so this is the model that we are going to be running. And again, you can see the specs, the bandwidth. If you have it quantized, Q4, I believe we have the full weights running. Sort of floating point 16 right here. Oh no, we don't. There's no way so we must have the quantized 4 running. So yeah, minimum RAM 11 gigs. It says recommended 20 gigs. So yeah, it has 21 billion parameters, but only 3.6 billion active. It's a mixture of experts, architecture, tool use is supported. Thinking, it says no, but our Hermes agent, that harness is actually, I just realized that that I'm cut off. There we go. So yeah, it says thinking is not a thinking model. It has reasoning enabled, chat and code. There we go again. Trying to position this. That's not it. There we go. Drag it right here. There we go. So yeah, you can kind of read about this model if you want further on Ollama, which we will also go to. So this is probably the easiest way to get started with running open source models locally on your computer. There's also llama.cpp, which is more so of just a CLI kind of workflow, command line straight in the terminal. Ollama, on the other hand, provides a little more ease of use. It's more beginner friendly. Many of you that are watching this video are probably familiar with Ollama and are waiting for me to get to Hermes Agent. So let's get to it. So again, I have Hermes Agent running in Docker, Docker desktop, which is something that's optional if you want a little more, if you're a little more safety cautious with AI. You want your agent to be containerized, and you don't want it to give full access to your system. Your agent will be generating code and things of that nature. The code, could be malicious, unintentionally, or could cause adverse system effects. So it's kind of to control the blast radius of your AI agent. Also, running applications in Docker, just it eases the process of rebuilding your agent and containing your dependencies for your specific application. That way you don't have to wrestle with versions of different dependencies across different applications, so to speak. So like all of your dependencies will be the same version in in your container. If something is compromised, you can just destroy the container and rebuild it from a clean image. Also, malware persistence is much harder than if you run an agent on your bare host. Um, so again, we're running our agent in Docker, actually in WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux, which it shares our host Windows kernel. That is our, kind of default operating system is Windows 11. And then WSL is a Linux operating system that kind of runs on the same kernel, and we have our agent running in Docker. Um, so it also provides ease for auditing. Everything that your agent does. Docker Desktop has pretty good oversight as far as what's going on in your container, and that's something else I'll show you. Also, you can put your Hermes agent on its own Docker network and restrict it to only the containers it needs. So the agent can't freely reach your local area network or arbitrary internal services. And lastly, Docker lets you run as non-root. You can drop Linux capabilities, set a read-only root file system, and you can apply security and app armor profiles, so you can box the agent in as tightly as you want, pretty easily, versus if you just run it directly on your host system, or even just directly on WSL, because that's still sharing your host kernel. Yeah, it's just a little safer. Now, to be completely safe, you would run this on an actual VM, a virtual machine. That's just even more secure way of implementing local AI agents. But I think Docker is a good middle ground, especially for a lot of the beginners out there. So yeah, we're just gonna focus on Docker for the purposes of this video. Okay, so I've talked enough. I've shown this Can I Run AI site where you can, determine what models you are able to run. We kind of went over Docker and the benefits of it. Also, the drawbacks that it's not a complete VM; it still shares your host kernel. So yeah, let's just get into it. All right, so our Wi-Fi is still off, as you can see. We are going to. We already have WSL up and running. I guess I should also show you guys well, we'll keep it off. We'll keep it off for now. We're just gonna go straight into it. GitHub is Nous Research Hermes Agent. We still have our Wi-Fi off, so we'll just go straight to opening our container. here is Hermes Agent. And so I've dabbled with a few different harnesses. I've dabbled with OSS, which they are still actively developing and improving. And that was the first AI harness that I dealt with. It was written in TypeScript, but it wasn't as comprehensive as something like Hermes Agent, which, if I'm not mistaken, Hermes Agent, everybody's familiar with Openclaw, and I think Hermes Agent is a lot better. It's a lot more intuitive. It's a lot, you have a lot of oversight. It was built with, more security functionality and aspects in mind versus Openclaw. It's just kind of a primitive harness, so to speak, that really was great for beginners and just really getting started 0 to 1. Now Hermes Agent, again, it's a lot more comprehensive, just out of the box, and you can still bolt on a lot of different capabilities and things. So again, our Wi-Fi is off. You can see our model, GPT-OSS 20 billion. We just named it Hermes. So yeah, we also have this configured for voice functionality. Which I'm curious if it will work with me recording this video. So you can see voice status. Okay. And we'll turn text to speech on. So now we'll just we'll ask our agent to write another haiku about something different. I mean, it's not all. We'll do something different. Haiku. We'll actually use our Obsidian skill as well to search our local vault. And I'll bring that up in another window too. So my Obsidian skill, or my Obsidian vault, sorry, it's still very bare. You might see some of these other more experienced users that have Obsidian vaults that look crazy with all these interconnected nodes and things. I'm still in the process of building mine out, so yeah, it's not as vast, but we will get there. So this is kind of the shared brain between our agent and whatever notes we want to take and research that we want to take, or that we want to perform. So this is our collaboration location. Can I zoom in? There we go. So as you can see, if you're not familiar with Obsidian, it is a great, very powerful note-taking application. all your notes are saved in Markdown file, which is the preferred format for these LLMs and agent harnesses. Um, so we'll just find a note that we want our agent to look at. This looks like a pretty good note. We'll just ask it to search for a specific paragraph in this note. And we'll also use our voice functionality. So let's see. Okay. Oh, let's see. Hey Hermes, use the Obsidian skill to search for a note regarding podcasting, and please tell me what the approximate value of the podcast industry is. So you can see it transcribed our voice in the background using our whisper.cpp, which is pre-bundled in Hermes. And now it is going to be searching our vault for the relevant note. Now again, this is our first prompt, so it'll take a while. Now you can see with the harness, it's not perfect. We are also running the default system prompt, or the soul.md file, which you can see here. This is the default persona that it ships with. And the more you customize this, the better the agent will adhere to whatever behavior you want. I just like to test out its default functionality. I will be building out this soul.md file in the near future. So as you can see, it's not really perfect. I told it to use the Obsidian skill. It did not do that. It's having it's look like the amount. Yeah, it's but the good thing about this is these slash commands really kind of help out Obsidian, so you can use the skill. Well, let's just do that. Obsidian. So see, slash vault brought us to our Obsidian files. And I could really just be speaking this, but I'm deciding to type. Just use the vault location for future reference anytime I ask you to use Obsidian. As you can see, with a little bit of direction, it finally figured out the right location where it was supposed to look. The approximate value of the podcast industry is 39.63 billion. So again, this is just kind of default soul file, default system prompt. But yeah, still very, very useful. You can see with iteration and consistent use how this could be a collaborative, really helpful agent. Another thing that I did not enable, which I meant to turn on, is our text-to-speech container. So we have another Docker container running Kokoro, which is going to power our agent's voice. This is also completely local text-to-speech capability, which is not as great as something like 11 Labs or any of the paid cloud providers, Google Gemini or anything like that. But again, it is completely free to run on our own computer, so that is what we like to do. So we're going to start our text-to-speech container so our agent can actually talk to us. All right, so that's in the background running now. So now when our agent talks, we should be able to hear it. If not, we may need to restart our instance because the container wasn't running when we started Hermes. So yeah, let's ask it for another let's ask it for another interpretation. Okay, that's not a note. Let's do this. No, I don't like that. Let's do this one. Okay. Now, could you please use the Obsidian skill to search for a note regarding simulacra, and please provide the definition of simulacra. Now you can see our voice interpretation isn't perfect. I said, now could you please use the Obsidian skill? I said, now because you please use the Obsidian skill.
Definition of simulacra from your vault note. Simulacra singular. Simulacrum are copies or representations that depict things that either had no original to begin with or that no longer have an original, effectively replacing reality with symbols and signs. Popularized by Jean Baudrillard, the term describes a state where the distinction between reality and its imitation vanishes, creating a hyperreality in which simulations are more real than the actual world. That is the concise definition stored in your simulacramd file.
Okay, thank you. Now our voice functionality in Hermes is enabled by pressing Control B. I'm not sure if I, you know, said that earlier, or if I, highlighted it. But yeah, so the record key is Control B, and when you're done, you press it again to stop recording. But yeah, so that kind of covers the basics between, the Obsidian skill, how to use it with our Hermes agent, our speech to text to speech functionality. And the last thing I will demonstrate in this video is our browser use. So we have CamelFox browser, which is running in a Docker container. So all of these containers are on the same Docker network. Our text-to-speech Kokoro is running in Docker, as well as our CamelFox browser. And CamelFox is kind of an anti-bot detection browser that is based off of Chromium. And again, all of this is just to kind of have oversight on exactly what the agent is doing, which is another thing that I will show here. Docker desktop. So here we will minimize, or we'll hide that. So here's our 3 containers. Now again, you could have your Hermes agent control your local Chrome browser via CDP, Chrome DevTools. But in this instance, I gave it its own browser, within a Docker container. So it's not controlling our local browser. It'll actually initiate a browser instance on its own, as long as the container is running, and you can see the ports that they run on. But before we do that, we'll just go to our Hermes container, and you can see when we run the container, our entry points and everything. You go to the inspect tab, you can see the status, you can see the binds, what volumes are mounted, host config, the ports, all of that. And then if you want to come to this exec tab, so we're actually running as root right now. We're running as root in this container. You do have the option of running as your host user in this container, which would allow for any files that you create or that your agent creates. You won't have to change permissions. Sometimes you'll have conflicts to where the agent will create a file and then you can't access it because you don't have permissions and things of that nature. So an option is to run as host user. For purpose of this demo, we're just gonna keep it as root for now, and we're gonna allow it to control that CamelFox browser just shortly. But yeah, this is kind of the default uh, config or setup that it has or that it initializes with in Docker. Um, so yeah, we'll hide that, and we will go back here. So I think we're ready to turn back on our Wi-Fi in just a second. If I can figure out what window, that's not it. There we go. We'll just hide this actually for a second. So this is the browser we're going to be using. CamelFox browser, anti-detection browser server for AI agents powered by CamelFox. So I said it was based on Chromium. It's actually a Firefox fork. And you can see the features that we have here. It runs on anything. Idle shutdown, keeps memory low. Session isolation, snapshot screenshots, VNC interactive login, which is actually what we're going to use to view our what our agent is doing in the browser window. So this instance is running on port 6080. Well, actually, it's not running yet because we have to start the container, which we will do right now. We'll turn Wi-Fi on. We'll come down to our terminal. And if you have trouble, getting any of these containers set up, I mean, they're pretty straightforward, but you can always, if you do have a paid, you know, service such as Claude or ChatGPT, just, kind of prompt your way through it. It's pretty straightforward. Also, these GitHub repos usually have pretty good documentation. The Hermes online documentation is great as far as figuring out how to set most of this up. Um, but if you're still struggling, just leave a comment or shoot me an email or something. I'd be more than happy to share my specific Docker run commands with all of my flags and everything, or kind of help you with anything you're getting tripped up on. So yeah, we're gonna start this container, and then we're gonna come back up to our agent. I'm gonna make that a little smaller. Okay, so now if we press connect, we'll just get a blank screen. So if your container wasn't running, I don't think connect would even work. It would probably either say not connected with a red X or something like that. But our container is running. We're connected to the browser instance. So now we can come back to Hermes and say, give it a site to navigate to. So yeah. Please navigate to hackernews.com. So I'm not sure why our input didn't show up. It's still transcribing our voice. It should be done transcribing. Okay, there we go. So as you can see,
I'm now on Hacker News. If you'd like me to perform any actions on the page, e.g., click a link, scroll, or extract content, just let me know.
so we'll give it another site to go to. Actually, could you please navigate to bestbuy.com?
Best Buy's homepage is now loaded. Let me know what specific browsing or extraction task you'd like next, e.g., search for a product, get price details, or extract information from a particular section.
There's a bit of a display bug with Best Buy, but maybe if we zoom out, no. Yeah, there's a bit of a display bug with Best Buy, but as you can see, our agent is able to, upon request, navigate to certain websites that we need. We have our Obsidian skill that allows it to search and read, and also write notes to our Obsidian Vault locally. And we can either issue commands via typing them, or we can speak to our agent and it is able to speak back to us. So yeah, this is just kind of a really basic rundown. I think this is a pretty good demonstration of just some of the basic functionality of this harness. It's again a great harness. It comes bundled with a whole bunch of skills off the bat, as you can see. And yeah, you can even make it even more capable by customizing the soul.md file to your specific use case. And again, this is all free to use locally. All you have to have is sufficient VRAM or sufficient GPU to use this harness, and Ollama in tandem, and it can potentially increase your productivity tenfold. Here we go. Oh, is it logs? Analytics. It should be analytics. API calls, total tokens. So you can see the total tokens I've used, 9.7 million. You can see API calls, which API calls, since our text-to-speech server is an open API format, that'll be showing under API calls. And you can see the skills. I've been testing out the Pokemon player, which I haven't really got that functionality completely down. There's a discrepancy between the RAM state and the browser or snapshot interpretation using computer vision. So Pokemon player will be another demo once I get that working seamlessly. But yeah, so you can see all the tokens, input and output. So I think this is a good stopping point for this video. We covered some of the basic functionality of Hermes Agent running in Docker on WSL on our Windows host. Hermes Agent, the self-improving AI agent harness by Nous Research. Again, it's a lot more intuitive and comprehensive than something such as Openclaw. It's a little more security minded. It is pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. Again, you can further increase its capabilities by creating your own sol.md file. We are still using the default file that it ships with, and as you can see, it's still able to use the skills and the functions with just a little bit of direction. It kind of got stumbled with our Obsidian query, but once we pointed it to the right vault location, it was able to read our files with no problem. We also demonstrated our text-to-speech and speech-to-text functionality. You could hear our agent speak to us, and we're able to verbally speak back. And we also covered browser use via CamelFox browser, which is running in another Docker container. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with a setup like this, especially completely privatized, offline, off the grid. You have access to a pretty powerful AI agent. So again, thanks for watching. If you found this video useful or otherwise just entertaining, whatever the case may be, please like, subscribe, share with a friend, leave a comment. And yeah, I will definitely be making more of this content in the near future, so stay tuned for the next video. Again, thanks for watching.